brother rented this piece of land, planted oats in it. He bought himself from a neighbor an old 96 John Deere pull type, which is a small combine, but it's in nice shape. So it's kind of a cool machine. The only problem is he has to run the 4440 on it, not because of the power requirements, but because that old pull type combine is set up for 1,000 RPM power takeoff. And that's the only tractor he's got with 1,000 RPM. But, you know, kind of nice to have your own oats. So that's good feed and excellent straw for bedding, though they do tend to eat the straw too. So, and this is kind of, well, let's say marginal land. But for years, they had grown corn here. You know, corn, year after year. Well, the guy that owns it now, I kind of wanted to get out of that whole corn cycle. He was renting it to somebody else that was doing the corn. So I rented it to my brother to do this oats. But, you know, that's easy baling straw. But, you know, nice oats. It'll be good feed. Even the chickens like oats. But he said that combine, he was surprised. He's got a neighbor's tandem truck. He's got a hell of a time. He had to park the truck in a hole because the combine, the auger is too short to lift, you know, to raise high enough to get into the truck. But a nice little combine, you know, like I say, always shedded. We know the guy who had it and kept really good care of it. And he got it fairly cheap because, you know, them old combines are too small for most people. But for a little patch of oats, you know, it's just right. But they're actually hard to find, the pull type ones. What you run into a lot of the times are the self-propelled ones. And the problem with the self-propelled ones is the only value they really have is in the motor. And some of them, the motors are interchangeable with tractor motors. So they'll buy them to strip them down and use that motor in a tractor. But, you know, the whole idea of having a motor in a machine that you get very few hours on over a year's time, you know, a lot better to use a pull type one with a power takeoff, just more efficient. You got more options there and less to go wrong. It was a good machine, but it's good to see it, you know, doing its job again. But he rented this part and put oats in, and we're looking right to the sun, but that part back there that's green, he's got alfalfa in there. You know, but this is much better for the land because this is all sand. You know, it's got clay underneath, but it needs just more trash in it and a lot of manure. No, but if he keeps spreading manure on here, he can get this to come around. Because there's clay underneath that will hold the moisture, but on the surface all you're dealing with is sand. So you just got to do a lot of manuring. And none of that Roundup crap, because that Roundup, it kills everything but the corn. So then you're left with nothing but sand. And this stuff is highly erodible. But it's a cycle that people get into. Corn, corn, corn. But yeah, this come out all right. You know, it was pretty dry to start out with, and I think he actually had to reseed some of it. But it looks to be coming around. We had to let it sit a while after we swapped it because there were some green kernels because of the, you know, 2 different seedings. But that'll be good feed. And this will be a good place to spread manure. But all that chemical farming, they really got to get away from that stuff. It does nobody any good. Like just down the road again, there's another case where somebody, rather than swath their wheat, they did that maneuver where they go in and spray with Roundup. That way they can go in and straight combine it. But then you end up with that Roundup in your bread. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. But that's something they started doing a few years back, and they don't want to quit it. Though other countries don't particularly like to buy our wheat, because we've got too much chemical stuff in it. Which is why Russia has got the wheat market corner now, where we used to be called the breadbasket of the world. Not anymore. Now it's Russia. Now we just make corn, and nobody wants to buy that either. So you turn it into ethanol, which nobody wants to run. But got to get government out of this farming stuff. Let farmers farm like they used to farm.